All right, everybody, hello and welcome to the first ever Walk On Radio Live. This is a really cool thing, man. We're here at Arnaud in Huntsville, Texas, and of course I'm here with Ryan Humphries. So, Humph, how are you feeling?
Dalton, I'm good. This is a truly new experience. What started in my guest bedroom at my apartment, now, with all y'all's support, with the work that me and Dalton have put in, we are doing a live episode in Huntsville, Texas. So let's clap it up again. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so we got a bunch of our coaches, teammates, friends, everybody's here. So, Hump, I think we start rolling with the episode. And, of course, we always start off with a Sam Houston preview. Now, we had the bye week, and we had the get better week, as Coach Keeler liked to say. But big game against Jacksonville State, a ranked opponent, and homecoming at home. So, Hump, this is your time, your preview. Let's hear it against Jacksonville State, the Gamecocks.
Dalton, obviously, this is a big game because it's the next game. But this is a game that, before the season, coming off of a big last season, national champions, this is one you circle. Okay, Jacksonville State, top 4 seed in the playoffs in the spring. Truly a talented program. They've got transfers from Clemson, Alabama, Florida, all these SEC, ACC schools, and they're certainly talented. Now, the interesting part about this, Dalton, is that Jacksonville State has a massive Power 5 win this year against Florida State.
Yeah, but not only that, a massive win, but a couple weird losses. We've been talking about them a while, a little wishy-washy when it comes to their season this year.
You could almost make a point that their losses, a couple of their bad losses are bigger than their big win against Florida State. I don't know how good Florida State is, but a win in Tallahassee nonetheless is a big deal. But yeah, looking at their schedule, Jacksonville State is 3-3. First week of the season they lose 31-0 to UAB, an FBS opponent. They turn around, beat Florida State like we mentioned. Close game against North Alabama, who is not having the best year. And then the road got rocky for the old Gamecocks. UT Martin, that's kind of a middle of the pack OVC school, so that's not a very impressive loss. I guess no losses are impressive. But then week after that, they lost to number 20 Kennesaw State, 31-6. They picked back up though. They beat our favorite team in purple, Stephen F. Austin. Stephen F. Austin, that was a tough 2 weeks. Obviously, huge loss against Sam Houston State at Battle of the Pawnee Woods. Turn around and lose a close one to the Gamecocks.
Yeah, well, this is definitely a big one. It doesn't really matter the wins or losses when it comes to playing Sam Houston, because this is the game you get ready for. This is the game you target on your back. And they had a bye week too, just like we did, right?
Yeah, bye week. So I'm sure that they took it as a get better week. Obviously, getting on an airplane and traveling to the number 1 team in the country it's a tall task. But as Coach Keeler said, as all the other coaches said, we know they're going to give us their best game. They had this one encircled in red. They want to dethrone the champs. They want to show that they are a power program. That a couple of their losses were fluky, and they're planning on coming to Huntsville to knock us down.
Now, Hump, we kind of talked about it in our audio episode that is on Art 19, but we had a chance for game day, and it was well known, but we didn't get it. And I know you kind of have a little something to say about that, because the game ended up being UCLA and Oregon, which is a great game. Don't get me wrong, it's a good game, but the stakes there are not very high. And it's kind of disappointing that we didn't get the game, but there still might be a chance later, but it's kind of a shame.
Yeah, and, in a week that there's really no true big FBS game, I think Game Day should do a better job at going to these FCS programs, at these FCS towns, because, look at when they went to Fargo, look at when they went to James Madison. There's great turnouts. And so I think a place like Huntsville, especially a team that just won the national championship, a team that fans are really excited about football right now. I think it would be a good showing, and I'm hoping down the line, if we can keep the winning going, that College Game Day is going to give us a look. But you know what? Walk on Radio Game Day for a big game this Saturday. That's the next best thing, if you ask me.
Yeah, we did our own. It doesn't matter. I think ours is better than theirs anyways. We have a fun turnout. Hump, let's get started with our rankings. We talk about the FCS. We talk about FBS. Let's get started with the FCS rankings first. Of course, nothing has changed. Sam Houston number 1, but a big loss with Montana. They got upset by Sacramento State. So let's talk about the rankings. What moved and how you feel about it.
Well, speaking of Montana, I see a couple fans out here that have some choice words for Montana fans via Twitter. That's our favorite fan base is Montana. Isaac Schley, I see you looking at me. But yeah, Montana. A lot of talk in the spring about kind of negating our national championship. it's a bit awkward when you're sitting at 4-2.
And don't forget, playing at Montana it's a big deal.
No, yeah,
they don't lose at home.
No, they don't lose at home. For that part of the country, that's Alabama. For the state of Montana, kids grow up wanting to play for the Grizzly, and that's all fine and dandy. But 4-2 through 6 weeks is that's not really national championship worthy. I expect them to turn it around. They're definitely one of the more talented teams in the Big Sky. But you talk about rankings, they're number 11 after their loss. Number 10, a team that's close to home for you. You grew up around this program, but UC Davis, 6-1. They're in the Big Sky. Number 9 is a team that I find a lot of interest in. We know them all too well. Southeastern Louisiana, with a quarterback like Cole Kelly coming off of a Walter Payton award last spring.
And I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, but Sela's kind of excited to get in the playoffs. But not only get in the playoffs, but they want a matchup with Huntsville, kind of that Southland rivalry, and they competed with us in the spring. So it could be an interesting matchup to go against them again.
Yeah, and I think the Southland Texas 4 that went to the WAC is kind of an interesting dynamic. I feel like they've got to have some bad blood for us because, with all the conference realignment stuff, and I hope to get into that tonight, but with all the conference realignment, the Southland is a little bit in shambles. It's a weird conference this year. Those teams are playing each other 2 times apiece, which is not ideal, but I do expect Sela to win that conference, and I even think that Southeastern has a shot to get a first-round bye, being one of the top 8 seeds, and that, if down the line Sam Houston met up with Southeastern Louisiana, that'd be a fun game. A lot of offense in that one.
Now, Hum, let me ask you, looking at the rankings, there's a lot of teams with 1 loss on the record. Of course, you have James Madison, you have South Dakota State, Villanova, the Salukis, Southern Illinois. Which team here is the best 1-loss team in the FCS?
Best 1-loss team, you got Montana State, James Madison, South Dakota State, Villanova, Southern Illinois. First off, that just proves that it's hard to go undefeated because those are some really good teams. The way I look at it, I honestly would venture to say that South Dakota State and James Madison are as good or better than Eastern Washington and North Dakota State, who are undefeated. But if I had to pick one, I'm going with the runner-ups. I've got to go South Dakota State here. Great offensive line, great run game, obviously solid defense playing in the Missouri Valley Conference, and they get the transfer quarterback. Obviously, their quarterback goes down in the national championship game. The transfer comes in, and he's lighting it up right now. So the Jackrabbits, obviously, big loss in overtime to your beloved Salukis a couple weeks ago. But I definitely think that South Dakota State is going to be very relevant come playoff time.
And then finally, kind of a big debate was number 2 and number 3 in the FCS with Montana losing and James Madison, South Dakota State, everyone dropping. It kind of came down to Eastern Washington and North Dakota State, and it ended up being Eastern Washington being ranked 2. But North Dakota State is still getting 1 vote for first place. So what do you think that is? Do you think it's strength of schedule? Do you think it's because of the program of who they are, being the Bison, and you still give them credit for what they are?
Well, apparently there was also an update or a debate on who number 1 should be. I still see stuff on Twitter, having Sam Houston at 2 or 3, and obviously everyone in the crowd here thinks that is foolish. So we'll talk about 2, 3. Yeah, Eastern Washington, Dalton, with the way their offense is playing, Eric Berrier, you got to say that he's probably the best player in the country at this time. I mean, the stats are just unbelievable. 3,000 passing yards through 7 games that's NCAA 14 numbers. That's incredible. So I think that they've done enough to be that number 2 team. North Dakota State, they're very opposite side of the spectrum, way more defense-oriented, not scoring a lot of points, but their defense is putting up historic numbers. And, I read an article today that talked about, Eastern Washington down the stretch is going to play some better passing defenses. Okay, so we'll kind of see, what's Eric Berrier about, what's their offensive attack about. And North Dakota State, they're going to play a lot more talented offenses. They still got to play Southern Illinois, still got to play South Dakota State. And so those 2 teams, the 2 and the 3 spots, are going to be tested. Honestly, Dalton, I think one of them loses. Here in the next 6 weeks. I don't see both of them running the table because it's tough. And like I said, we're fortunate enough to have a 16-game win streak, the number 1 win streak in all of Division I football. Thank you, Texas A&M. Can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, who would have thought you would have been?
But thank you, Texas A&M, for dethroning Bama and Nick Saban. It's Does Sam Houston want Bama? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I think we want Texas A&M.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get them next year. Well,
Hum, let me tell you something that's going to be really interesting, and maybe it ends up being in the playoffs, maybe it end up in the national championship, but the Eastern Washington offense versus the Sam Houston State defense. Now, I know we have a table over there. I see Tim Hart. I see the Twins. I see Markel. We have a good defense. And Eastern Washington is putting up some video game numbers, so quite a matchup that's going to be. Can they stop Eric Berrier? I'm really excited to see that front five go to work and get some action done.
The problem, though, with that is, you talk about the Eastern Washington offense and the Sam Houston defense. Well, what about the Sam Houston offense and the Eastern Washington defense? Because I think we can slow them down. Don't know if they're going to be able to slow us down.
Yeah. And another team, Villanova. There's a lot of really cool, interesting matchups that once playoff gets there, and there's a lot of bracketology. You never know who's going to end up where. We're going to get into that in a few weeks, but it's going to be fun. Next up, we have the FBS rankings, and it seems pretty clear who is the top dog of the FBS, and that's Georgia, the Dogs, possibly the best defense we've ever seen. But, let's talk about 2, 3, 4, and 5 the rest of the way down. I know your Bearcats with a C, Cincinnati. They're still hot right now, and they're still winning. So let's go about the rankings, and let's see who placed where.
How about Cincinnati? I surely I'm the only guy here that had Cincinnati in the college football playoff preseason, the first group of 5 team to ever do it. I hope it happens. At this point, I feel like if they go undefeated, they're in. Surely they're in.
Now, let me ask you, if Cincinnati loses, are they no chance?
No chance. There's been undefeated group of 5 teams before not get in. UCF. Last year, Cincinnati, Coastal Carolina gets upset last night. But yeah, Cincinnati, I mean, they're already at 2. There's only one spot above them, and that's Georgia. And honestly, interestingly enough, Georgia's still going to have to play Bama in the SEC championship. So could we see a number 1 Cincinnati? If they run the table, Georgia loses in the SEC championship. Is Cincinnati the number 1 team in the country?
I don't know. I think it depends if Oklahoma can win out. And I know Oklahoma's winning ugly. It's something I don't like to say, but
we've got a Big 12 fan right here.
Yeah. If Oklahoma can win out, they're going to stay undefeated and they're going to go number 1.
Man, yeah, I agree with you. But I don't see that.
Let me ask you this. Let's say Ohio State beats a top-ranked Michigan. Michigan stays undefeated, and the Ohio State win. Do they bump up to maybe 1 or 2 or 3?
So you're saying the winner of the Michigan-Ohio State game?
The game.
Yeah, no, I mean, if Michigan goes undefeated, obviously they're getting in. If Ohio State wins out with 1 loss to Oregon earlier in the year, they've got a shot. The problem with Cincinnati, here's the issue. Oklahoma goes undefeated. Georgia loses to Alabama in the SEC championship. That means Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship, and Michigan goes undefeated. Well, that's 4 teams that the eye test, probably better than anything Cincinnati's done.
Yeah.
So would Cincinnati get the snub?
Probably.
I will be crushed. Yeah. I will truly be crushed. But
it's coming. But with Oklahoma staying undefeated, there's a team they still got to get through, and that's the Cowboys of Oklahoma State, which nobody thought they were going to be very good this year. They kind of came out and showed their thing, and that game's coming up soon. It's a big rivalry game. So Oklahoma still has a couple of hoops. Now, we're talking about the rankings. The Final Four, it's still a little questionable. Who's in your 4th spot? Because we've been talking about all these different teams. Ohio State, Alabama, Michigan, Penn State, Oklahoma State, Michigan State. Who do you think at the end of the day is going to end up in that 4th spot in the Final Four?
I feel confident that Georgia is gonna go throughout the season with either 1 loss or going undefeated. I think Alabama figures out a way to get in. Obviously, that means that they're going to beat Georgia in the SEC championship. But Nick Saban seems to always get it done. I'm gonna roll with Cincinnati still making it. And then for that last spot, I don't see Oklahoma running the table. Caleb Williams comes in, Spencer Rattler, our favorite quarterback, he gets benched. And so, that's a little bit of a spark, but I still don't see them going undefeated. So, honestly, give me the winner of the Big Ten. Be that Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Iowa. Whoever gets out of that Penn State or Big Ten gauntlet is going to make the playoffs.
It's kind of a shame you said Iowa, fullback you, tight end you, took the loss, no longer kind of in that running. But, a lot of good teams, man. It's tough right now. There's a lot of teams up there that could potentially make it. Let me ask you, we still got Wake Forest. They're the Demon Deacons. Where do you think they might end up in this season? I know I've been high on them. You probably didn't really know who Wake Forest was until now. Do you think they can finish in maybe a teen spot at 10, 11, 12, or they're going to kind of stay where they are?
Yeah, normally this is a school that I would call a basketball school, but I don't even think they're that. And so props to you, Wake Forest, for 16th, undefeated. They're going to be in our pick'em tonight. If there's going to be a year to win the ACC with Clemson being down, North Carolina being gigantically disappointing, our beloved North Carolina, this is definitely the year to do it. So I'm kind of hoping that they finish this out. I don't know that they're going to have the resume to be a college football playoff team, but a New Year's Six Bowl, definitely.
Now, we're talking about Sam Howell, a little disappointing. Spencer Rattler, and I don't think anybody likes Spencer Rattler here. A lot of people shaking their heads. They kind of agree with me. But I don't know if you saw, but he took off of his Instagram bio quarterback at Oklahoma to just quarterback. It's looking like the transfer portal's coming pretty soon.
Yeah, and in an era where social media is such a big thing, you see fans chirping at players, you see players chirping back. Last night I saw the big-time linebacker for Coastal Carolina. He sent a DM to App State's quarterback before the season saying, transfer to App State just to loose from some boys at the beach.
Well, you know where he's from, right?
I know. Yeah, he's
Trevor Lawrence's backup.
I know. And so he posted that last night. That went crazy. But, yeah, normally I would say don't look too much into things like that. But Spencer Rattler being the way that he is, I'm sure it does mean something. I'm sure that he is transferring.
Okay, Hump, the big question. You kind of know what teams are right now, what team's going to maybe lose a quarterback. Spencer Rattler transfer portal. Where do you think is going to go? If you could throw a college out there right now, what would you say?
Somebody said this to me jokingly, but I kind of hope he goes to Texas A&M so he can ruin that program too.
But I don't know. He might be able to.
No, because, listen, he's been a Heisman favorite 2 years in a row. Blew that. Perennial preseason #1 overall pick in the NFL, blew that. And so go to A&M. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. But I don't think it'll work out.
Yeah, take away all the athleticism and how he is. He still has that attitude problem. And I know if y'all have seen Netflix and QB1, the TV show where they followed a lot of quarterbacks in high school, they followed Spencer Rattler. And, man, he's someone you just don't want to cheer for. He's a little rough out there.
Well, Dalton, in an age where NIL is kind of this new and evolving thing, let's talk about the big-name quarterbacks that sign these crazy, hundreds of thousands, seven-figure NIL deals. How are those guys playing? Because Spencer Rattler, benched.
Big Canes guy.
DJ Uiagalelei, my preseason Heisman.
Dr. Pepper.
What's happening there? Sam Howell, I'm sure he's getting big money. De'Aaron King, your guy. What's Miami doing?
They fell off that.
So is it you think that the NIL stuff, the pressure to uphold these, crazy numbers and be worth all this money, do you think that's gotten to these 20, 21, 22-year-old kids' heads?
I mean, I feel it's got to be. There's a reason those rules were there in the first place to kind of keep the money out of the NCAA, but as it slowly starts becoming a thing, maybe it does. Speaking of DJ Uiagalelei and Clemson, most disappointing team in college football?
You see me shaking my head.
Most disappointing?
By far.
Yeah.
By far. Not even a second thought on that one.
Yeah, and they're not winning the ACC, we don't think, right?
I mean, who's
going to be in the ACC championship?
I wouldn't count them out because they're Clemson, and Dabo Swinney usually figures out a way. But I don't know. I just don't think they have the offense this year, and they're going to be able to recruit well and get back into this. But DJ Uiagalelei certainly disappointing.
Yeah, it's quite a shame.
My guy.
I guess it just
shows. I learned how to pronounce his name for nothing.
I know, and it just shows how good Trevor Lawrence was in college. I say was because in the NFL. Not doing so hot. Not doing his thing out there.
Give him some time. He's shadowed by a bad organization in the Jaguars.
Well, the Georgia Dogs, they are running FBS right now. 63 votes in first place. Next up, we have NFL. Let's talk some rankings in the divisions. It's looking it's getting clear cut. Let's start with the AFC East. The Bills running everything right now. The Patriots, they're fighting. But Hump, let me ask you, Mac Jones, Rookie of the Year?
Mac Jones, Rookie of the Year, and I see Moses. He did not like that. I'm going to go no, and I think he's been efficient. He's played okay, but didn't come up very big in the showdown versus my Cowboys the other night, did he?
Yeah.
Pretty big pick six to the future Defensive Player of the Year, but my Rookie of the Year is either Najee Harris or Jamar Chase. Whichever one can be a bigger impact for their team. And right now, you got to go with Jamar Chase.
I mean, look at the success of the Bengals, which I don't think anybody thought of. And,
I know.
People were complaining that he was a bad pick in the draft. I was one of them. I was probably the biggest Jamar Chase hater. Looking at the 4-2,
listen,
they're close.
I know that Penei Sewell the guy that a lot of Bengals fans wanted, he has 0 touchdowns this year, okay? Jamar Chase, he has plenty of touchdowns.
Well, finishing the AFC East, it's followed by the Jets and the Dolphins. The Dolphins' tough break with Tua getting hurt. You hate to see it. There's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
AFC West, the Chargers. And I think a lot of people clowned me when I said the Chargers are going to win the AFC West, Justin Herbert MVP. Maybe that's not going to happen. Maybe Justin Herbert doesn't win the MVP, but they're in first place right now. But they're tied with the Las Vegas Raiders, which it's a close one. And then you have the Broncos 3-3. I'm looking at Isaac. I'm looking at Coach Rodgers.
Yeah, Broncos play tonight. Got a big one.
And then finally in last place, and tied for last with the Broncos, is the Chiefs. Humph, you want to talk about the Chiefs a little bit?
Yeah, the Chiefs, and that's a team that I thought you were crazy for putting the Chargers over them in the division. I thought you were crazy. I'm now seeing that maybe that's not true, and I know they're only one game back, but when I watch the Chiefs play, it's almost as if the rest of the NFL has picked up on what they've been able to do the last 2 years. Run around, chunk the rock, and play a little bit of defense. And now they're running around chunking the rock. Patrick Mahomes is not playing Patrick Mahomes football. He's throwing a lot of interceptions. I think he's top 3 in interceptions with Zach Wilson, rookie, on the Jets.
Yep.
And Trevor Lawrence, rookie, on the Jaguars. Well, Patrick Mahomes is a seasoned vet, a Super Bowl MVP seasoned vet that has arguably the best weapons in the NFL. So all these interceptions, pretty much no excuse for that.
Now, Humph, we still have a long season to go. Do you believe that the Chiefs might be able to come back, or you think this is the Chargers' division to lose?
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that the Chiefs are going to win the AFC West, but I'm fairly positive that the Chiefs are going to get into the playoffs, and the Chiefs, they're going to be there in the end.
Yeah.
Okay, I would never bet against Patrick Mahomes. 903, born and raised, White House, Texas. Saw him plenty growing up. I would never bet against him and the Chiefs, and I feel like they'll be there in the end. I could see, Chiefs Bills AFC Championship.
Yeah, not only to that, but I don't think the Raiders are going to finish out as well as they're doing, especially with everything going on with John Gruden. A lot of stuff with the Raiders. They have a lot of things to fix. I don't think they're going to finish out this season as strong as they started. Moving on to the AFC North, we have the Ravens in front, 5-1, followed by the Bengals, Browns, and Steelers. Browns are doing good, but then all of a sudden they fell apart, and Baker Mayfield had a bad shoulder injury. Casey Keenum's back in and starting. Do you believe in Casey Keenum and the Browns, or is this going to be a Ravens division now?
Listen, this is not the Houston Cougars, okay? This is the Cleveland Browns. And so I don't know that Case Keenum is going to get it done. I don't know that Baker Mayfield would have gotten it done. The Browns, so far they've been disappointing. The team in that division that I owe the most apology to is the Baltimore Ravens. I talked a lot of crap about them. I talked a lot of crap about Lamar Jackson. That dude can play. He can play. And I still don't feel like his style of play can win them a Super Bowl. But he's slowly, every week, proving me wrong.
Where do we put Lamar in the MVP running? Is he maybe top 5, top 3, maybe top 2?
He's not top 3. I think there's some really good candidates right now. Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford. Probably not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I'd go Lamar Jackson probably after those guys. Justin Herbert would have been. But last week's showing against the Ravens was pretty poor.
Yeah, and you know what? You can make your comment about Aaron Rodgers. That's okay. The Packers are still winning. We're doing our thing. Next up, we have the AFC South, and I know we have some Texans fans in here, so it's going to be rough. But
we have Texans fans here?
Surprising.
I can't believe anybody's the fans of the Houston Texans.
The Titans are first place 4-2, which it's still the Titans, and it's been a poor year for them. But Derrick Henry is who he is.
No, the Tennessee Titans. This is the Tennessee King Henrys. That's the only guy that matters on that roster. The dude. And we're going to get into fantasy football for you fantasy football fans. But if you have King Henry, surely you're having a good year because the dude is a walking nightmare.
Yeah, and then next up we have the Indianapolis Colts at 2-4, and then the Texans and the Jaguars fighting for 1-5. Hump, we saw the Texans play with Tyrod Taylor, and it was good. It kind of surprised a lot of people with Tyrod Taylor and with how bad the Colts are doing. Do you think the Texans could be fighting for second place, maybe even winning the AFC South?
Well, first off, I think the Colts are probably about to get it rolling. Carson Wentz is finally healthy. Gunner Caps, I see a big dog. Jonathan Taylor, that's my boy, my adopted stepson. Favorite fantasy football player for sure. They're going to get it rolling. Quentin Nelson, he'll be back eventually. That defense led by Darius Leonard. I think that the Colts are good enough to get a wild card spot. And it's not like the Titans are just, they're not great. So they can make a comeback. As far as the Texans getting second in this division, Coach Merkins and I had a bet that the over-under win total for this one He said they'd win 6. I said there's no chance. And after they started 1-0, I was like, okay, I'm a little nervous here. Tyrod Taylor obviously is that dude. But Tyrod Taylor is also the unluckiest human on the face of the earth.
God, what a poor career, and it's not even his fault sometimes.
If you told me that the guy got struck by lightning and that's the reason he hasn't been playing, I would definitely believe you. But I don't think what's his name? Davis Mills, long neck.
Davis Mills.
Mills. Yeah, I don't know that he's going to get it done for the old Texans.
The strongest neck in the NFL.
No question.
100%.
No question.
Let's get on to the NFC, and we're going to start with the NFC East. We're just going to kind of fly through it. What do you think?
The NFC East? Yeah. We can fly through that one.
Cowboys are first place 5-1, and they look a
lot Where are my Cowboys fans at? Where are my Cowboys fans at? There we go. Where are my Cowboys fans at?
It's just disappointing to hear that cheer. But you got to give the Cowboys credit. They're 5-1. Is Dak Prescott winning MVP? And don't be biased.
Well, Comeback Player of the Year is over. He doesn't have to play another snap to win Comeback Player of the Year. But as far as MVP goes, I mean, you tell me. He's playing MVP caliber right now.
I think he's on track.
I'm not going to put him over Kyler Murray at this point. But Dak Prescott, Dakota Rain Prescott, as I love to call him, he's going to be there. He's going to be there.
And I think the Cowboys are close to locking in Defensive Player of the Year with Diggs. I mean, what a crate. We talked about it on the audio episode.
Comeback Player of the Year, MVP. Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Defensive
Player of the Year. Absolutely not Coach of the Year. They need to call me up because Mike McCarthy's time management skills are laughable. I think we honestly need to promote Kellen Moore before he goes somewhere else because that dude gets it.
You think he's going to be a head coach in the future? How close?
He gives me Sean McVay vibes.
Yeah.
There's a reason he's that young and he's an offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. And they're second in overall rushing yards, like 5th in passing, first or second in scoring. So offense is obviously going well for the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, following up the East, we have the Washington football team at 2-4, the Eagles and the Giants. I know Payne's around here somewhere. He's a Giants fan, and
it's impressive that we're in Huntsville, Texas, and we've got a big Giants fan. We've got two big Eagles fans right here, and even more impressive is that they publicly say that they're proud of that.
Now, Hump, speaking of the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, is he your franchise quarterback, or do you think next year in a few years they're going to move on and find somebody else?
Well, listen, okay, you tell me. If you knew that Deshaun Watson was good to go, you tell me that Philadelphia wouldn't jump at that eagerly as possible and get Jalen Hurts out of there.
Well, the rumor around is that Deshaun Watson's going to be a Dolphin. I don't know. If I'm the Eagles, I'm jumping on that because that drastically changes the Eagles. I think.
But my point is in saying that is that the Dallas Cowboys aren't. They're not. They're all in with Dak Prescott. That's their guy. The Chiefs are all in with Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. The Bills are all in with Josh Allen. I don't know that the Eagles are all in with Jalen Hurts.
I agree. And there were the rumors in the offseason, too, that they were thinking about getting another quarterback. So the whole time they just didn't really have Jalen Hurts back. But he's still the quarterback for the Eagles now. They're 2-4. Maybe they can turn around. The NFC East is kind of weak other than the Cowboys. You never know what could happen. Moving on to NFC West, which what a strong division we have here in the NFL.
Best division in the
Cardinals
NFL.
are still undefeated at 6-0, followed by the Rams at 5-1, and the Niners and the Seahawks. The Niners and the Seahawks are 2-3 and 2-4, but they're competing. And they've had some tough games, some close games. Hump, in this division, are the Rams going to stay in second place, or could the Seahawks come back? Could we see a 49ers comeback season?
Dude, call me crazy, and I know they already beat them head-to-head. I know. But I still think that the Los Angeles Rams are the team to beat in this one. And the Cardinals are 6-0. Kyler Murray is probably the MVP right now. But it's like I've said on past episodes. In 10 weeks, if we looked up and the Cardinals were, they only had 9 wins or 10 wins, it wouldn't surprise me. I just don't see them going into the playoffs as this number 1 seed. I think the Cowboys are better. I think the Bucs are better. I think the Rams are better. I think the Packers are close to being better. But for now, Cardinals are the team to beat. Rams are right behind them, and the Niners. I'm just not a Jimmy G guy.
Yeah.
I cannot get behind that. I think Trey Lance is the answer. He's injured right now, but he's the future. People forget how young that guy is. He only played, I think, 16 college football games, and so that dude, he's got a really high ceiling. Man, the Seahawks. It's tough. They're not going to get back into this one.
Geno Smith. Who would have thought?
Geno Smith,
thought he would have been playing
West
starting
Virginia. Yeah, I know. Without Russell Wilson, they're not going to get back into this one. It's He's that team.
Yeah.
He is the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay, next up we have the NFC North. The Green Bay Packers are first place, 5-1. I see Jarek. He's got a Brett Favre jersey on. I heard a couple boos. That is not necessary.
Can I boo? Can I boo?
I don't think so. I didn't boo for your boys. I've been honest. The Packers are good. We've had some struggles, but we're a little beat up. But we just signed Whitney Merciless, who is a pretty solid linebacker from Houston. He's a little bit older now, but I think we're good. We had some defensive problems. We had some secondary problems, but I think they're going to be solid. And also with that, the NFC North is weak. The Vikings, they're 3-3. They've competed in some good games. The Bears, the Justin Field-led Bears, I'm a little nervous, but I don't think they're going to be ready yet. And then, of course, the Lions, who's just had a tough stretch of games.
Do the Lions go 0-17?
No, they're going to win one.
So. Surely.
I think they're going to win one.
Surely.
I think
who is the number one pick in the draft next year? Houston, Detroit, the Jets, the Jags. What do you think?
Man, I would probably say the Jets. The Jets or the Texans?
I'm still rocking with the Lions.
Really?
Yeah, I am a total non-Jared Goff believer.
They've had some close ones,
That guy
though.
made a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That guy made a Super Bowl.
But did he or did his team around him make the Super Bowl?
Which is why I have so much faith in the Rams, because I think Matthew Stafford's career was ruined by the fact that he was a Detroit Lion.
Yeah. But I think they're going to win a couple.
They couldn't win games with Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson. Never forget that.
Yeah. Calvin Johnson, he almost was a Packer, which we would have had multiple Super Bowls after that one. Finally, we have the NFC South. First place is the Bucs, 5-1. The Saints are 3-2. I said the Saints were going to be last in the division. I see Ethan Hagler.
Where's my Saint fans at? Where's my Saint fans at?
Yeah,
Who dat?
Yeah. I know Juan Henry is saying it somewhere, but Saints are 3-2. Hump, are the Saints making the playoffs?
I think they're right there. And I liked Carolina early in the season. I'm not going to name him, but there's a certain someone on that roster that hasn't suited up in a couple of weeks, Dalton. I'm not going to speak on his name. But I'm very unhappy with him. He's hurting me. He's hurting my heart every Sunday when I look that he's out. And I need Christian McCaffrey to play. And so until he's back, give me the Saints over the Panthers. Alvin Kamara, one of the most reliable guys in the NFL. If the dude touches the ball, the dude can get in the end zone.
And then finally with the Falcons, Matt Ryan, is this his last year in the NFL? Do we think he's done? Even if he doesn't retire, do the Falcons find a new quarterback?
I don't think there's any chance it's his last year in the NFL. Is it his last year as an Atlanta Falcon? Possible.
Yeah.
Possible. I can see Atlanta drafting a quarterback. I still think to this day, had Trey Lance made it to him in the draft, they take Trey Lance over Kyle Pitts.
I agree.
I think that.
Well, that's the NFL. It's a long season to go. You never know what's going to happen. Hump, I think we have a little trivia that we want to do.
I think we have a little bit of trivia. We're trying to give some hats away. So we're going to ask some trivia questions, okay? Don't just spit out the answer, because if I don't hear that it was you, I'm not giving you a hat. And I'm looking at you, Jarek. Okay? So maybe, first person that raises their hand, I don't know. What is this, the second grade?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got an FCS question, an FBS question, and an NFL question. All right? Don't look at your phones either. Nobody likes a cheater, okay?
All right, so let's
You want to read the first one?
I'll do the first one. So the first trivia question is, name a current FBS school that has won an FCS national title.
Clayton Barnes. Georgia Southern, that's correct. That is correct. That's a free hat. Georgia Southern, Louisiana Monroe, Appalachian State, Marshall.
Okay, Hump. Out of those 4 teams, who's the best out of those?
Today
Yeah.
or
Probably App State,
App
huh?
State. Yeah, App State.
Big win.
Now, as far as when they were an FCS school, Marshall had Randy Moss. And so that's certainly a big name. All right, next trivia question. All we hear about is the Power 5 in the FBS. Okay? Who can name the 5 other conferences, the Group of 5? Who can name all 5 Group of 5 conferences? Maybe someone other than Clayton Barnes.
We got here.
American, CUSA, Sun Belt.
We need 2 more. He said American, Sun Belt, CUSA. We need 2 more. The MACtion. We got 1 more.
I feel like the time is up.
Mountain West.
Oh, Mountain West. There
with
you
the buzzer
for
beater.
the buzzer beater. Yes, sir. Very nice. Very nice. And, the Mountain West, years ago, that was a pretty prominent conference. Boise, TCU. I think BYU was in the Mountain
Now,
West.
Hump, talking about the Power 5, or the Group of 5, and I think we can do it after this last question, but there's some chaos going down with the Group of 5 with a lot of realignment stuff going on.
No doubt. From FCS, from did the WAC start this whirlwind of conference realignment.
Either that or the whole rumor of the SEC versus everybody.
It still is that. Listen, I'll touch on this, and then we'll go to the next trivia question. I think today, right now, Sam Houston is closer to the day that they're playing for the same national championship that a MAC, CUSA, Mountain West, Sun Belt school is, then we're not. And what I mean by that is the Power 5, those are some big money programs. They're going to break off and do their own thing one day. And I think the top half of the FCS can kind of merge with those group of 5 teams. Maybe you get a conference, and this is just hypothetical, but you get a UTEP, a UTSA, a Texas State, a Sam Houston, SFA. I think we're closer to that. And I don't mean next year or the year after, but I think 10 years from now, I think it's a possibility.
And Hump, we've heard the rumors about James Madison possibly being an FBS school in the possible future. How likely this looking, and what conference do we think they're going to most likely end up at?
Well, if that's a reality for them, if that's something that they truly want to do, then this is the time to do it. Because the Sun Belt is looking for expansion. The CUSA just lost basically their whole conference to the American, who lost basically their whole conference to the Big 12, who lost basically their whole conference to the SEC. So it's a lot of moving parts. It's kind of a puzzle piece. This team goes there, this team goes there, and the problem with it all is you've got conferences that are just stretched out all across America. It's like, what is a conference if I'm having to get on a plane every week?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's going to be the weird issue with all this movement, but we're going to have to see how it goes. There's going to be a lot of news coming up, and we're going to keep in touch with it. Well, Hump, you want to do the last trivia question for the hat?
Last trivia question.
All right. Name the 4 NFL franchises that have never been to a Super Bowl.
Little slower hands there, huh?
I can name one. I think we all know the one.
I saw Ben Bankston. The Texans. The Jags.
Let me give him one to
He doesn't know. Texans, Jags. We need 2 more schools. Jarek? Lions, Browns. Jarek with the win.
Jarek with the win. Wearing the Brett Favre jersey,
and the difference
course.
between those, it's funny that they were named in that order. The Texans and the Jags, they have an excuse. They haven't been in the NFL that long. The Lions and the Browns are 2 of the oldest franchises in all of the NFL. So are those the 2 worst fan bases to be a member of? You decide.
But here's my thing with the Texans. At what point does the excuse that they've only been a young franchise, when does that go away? Because I feel like every year they're going to keep using that.
It goes away when I don't feel like the year 2000 was like 8 years ago. It's 2021, and I still think that in my head. But that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's their own fault. You couldn't win with DeAndre Hopkins. You couldn't even keep DeAndre Hopkins. You couldn't keep J.J. Watt. You got problems with Deshaun Watson, and so.
Well, they almost beat the Chiefs that one year, and we all know what happened then.
Yeah, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, and so Texans, kind of a whack fan base. And I know I'm alone down here, but I'm looking at you, Ben Bankston.
Well, Hump, next up we have the Fantasy Corner. We always talk about it. We love talking about fantasy football. We have the Walk-On League. Me and Isaac, team tight end. We're in a big one.
Not doing well.
We're not doing well, but we're a couple wins from being in the picture again, and we're projected to win this week. We had to make a lot of changes because of the bye week. But, Hump, here's your time, your Fantasy Corner. Who's hot, who's not, and how are you doing in your personal league?
Well, Dalton, they're calling this week 7 of this specific year, they're calling it the Bye-pocalypse. And I'm sure you've seen there are a lot of NFL or fantasy football rosters that are empty because they've got these massive big-name players that are on buys. Cowboys are on the bye. Chargers are on the bye. Bills are on the bye. All these big name fantasy football teams. And so what I always say, Dalton, about fantasy football, waivers win Super Bowls.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so you gotta be active on that waiver wire. I can't remember who it was, but somebody mentioned Dearness Johnson tonight for Cleveland, the 3rd string running back. That's a big pickup. If you have Nick Chubb, you've got Kareem Hunt, you've got Zeke on a bye, you've got Austin Eckler on a bye. You got to do your research, okay? Fantasy football, it's luck, but if you want to be successful, it's a little skill too, okay? So open a computer sometime, look at the rankings, all right? But that's the beauty of fantasy football, Dalton. You can do all the research in the world, And if you're like me and Cody Crest right now, sometimes you're just unlucky. Okay, sometimes things go wrong.
Now, Hump, I have a question for you. Being a guy that doesn't do fantasy a lot, and I know you have Christian McCaffrey, who's pretty beat up.
Painful.
So in a situation like this with Christian McCaffrey, is it time to let him go and maybe fill the spot with somebody else? I mean, you gotta move people around. Is he somebody that you get rid of, or do you keep him on your bench until he's ready to roll again?
Listen, a guy like Christian McCaffrey, I'd rather him do nothing on my bench than do nothing on someone else's bench, because the sun will shine eventually.
Yeah.
He's gonna come back, and if I can scrape and claw and fall and stumble my way into the playoffs and he's back, that's a league winner right there, because Christian McCaffrey is a fantasy football cheat code.
And another player, Saquon Barkley, he's beat up. I know you saw the ankle, big fat ankle. Is he another one we got to keep him or maybe let him go?
That's your fault for drafting that guy, because I always say that one of the best abilities is availability. And Saquon Barkley, I don't remember the last time the guy played a full season. I think it was at Penn State. I'm not sure. But like guys like that, it's risky, man. Dalvin Cook never played a full NFL season in his career. Saquon Barkley never played a full NFL season in his career. And so just, man, these injuries, and that's the beauty and the struggle of fantasy football is injuries. You can't control them.
Now, is there any player in fantasy football that's been really disappointing, and I'm not talking injuries, but someone that's played and just really let people down when it comes to fantasy football?
A couple guys that come to mind, and I'm not talking injuries, but like Allen Robinson, a guy that was like a second or third round receiver.
It's not even his fault. It seems like it just seems like they're not giving him the ball.
I know, but it's not going well. Quarterback wise, Ryan Tannehill has been a little disappointing. Running back wise, I don't know. I feel like, who do you got? Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it's based off of injuries.
Yeah.
I think the guys that are staying healthy are doing well. I wouldn't say that Alvin Kamara has just been incredible, but if you've got Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook when he plays, Aaron Jones has done well, Najee Harris has done well. I mean, it's a weird year. Zeke's done really well. That's a good call.
Really surprising too. I was talking about Tony Pollard. Yeah, I know.
Whoa.
I know.
Whoa.
For me, it was surprising.
For people that don't know.
I was talking about Tony Pollard being the guy, and then Zeke comes in and he's back to, it seems like, his former self.
Imagine talking bad about a franchise because they have too many good players. Okay, that's like saying somebody at Sam Houston State isn't good because another guy is doing well.
Yeah.
They got an abundance of good players.
I just want to see my boy Tony shine. I just feel like it's his time to go off and be his own person,
Whatever.
Well, Hump, next up, we have a live crowd, and I thought it'd be perfect if we do a Q&A. I know we got some people that had some questions for us, so we're kind of leaving it up to the crowd here. If you have any questions that you want us to answer, NFL, college football, even Sam Houston, let us know, and we'll be sure to answer it. So does anybody have a question or anything?
Any questions? Isaac Schley. Hot seats in college football. Dalton. Hot seats in college football. Coach O would have been my first answer probably, and apparently he's gone after the season.
Well,
so.
Hump, let me throw a name out there, and we kind of talked about this team earlier, and I don't know if he's in the hot seat, but Dabo Swinney. Maybe?
He's too liked. He's too
you
liked.
Think so?
I think his name is too big. He just won a national championship, which apparently means nothing.
Well, you see how
that means
the
nothing.
expectations for teams like that.
Right. Hot seat,
Scott Frost, Nebraska. We've mentioned him many times.
Scott Frost, Nebraska. That's a great one. He's. Yeah. Oh, we've got a Husker fan. Prayers. Yeah, prayers. I've been to Nebraska. I've been to their stadium, and it's awesome. But walk down the street, and that's it. That's all there is.
Okay, Hump, another one. Dan Mullins, Florida. Maybe. A lot of rumors about him not being clocked in. Florida, he's kind of phoning it in. Chances of him going to the NFL, but a little disappointing for Florida this year. What do you think? Maybe, maybe not?
It's probably time for Florida to start winning again.
Yeah.
I don't, the talent's there, but they can't seem to top Georgia, can't seem to top Alabama, and I don't think they're close either. Let me this is in the hot seat, but more of a coaching change. What about Jimbo Fisher? Been some rumors
a lot of rumors
that he's looking at LSU.
He used to coach there, right?
USC. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? You think A&M is the place to be?
I think it is, and it'd be quite a shame if he left now, especially with the recruiting they're doing and the fact that they've been winning some big games. And, of course, they've had a couple losses, and it's tough for trying to get in the Final Four. But you have something brewing in College Station, and what a cool place to play. College Station is such a fun atmosphere. We get to be there next year and compete. But man, LSU is a great opportunity. USC is a great opportunity, but if I'm Jimbo Fisher, I'm staying, and what they have, I'm building, and I'm gonna keep going. What do you think,
Dalton? I'm gonna ask you another question. Who's a coach that just got to his program, and you think if it's not now, there's gonna be success later? Because one guy comes to mind for me. What do you think?
Man, maybe Iowa, just because he's been kind of crafting. But
I'm laughing because I know I'm getting slander.
Oh, no.
I'm getting slandered here, and that's the beauty of the live audience.
Oh,
I actually love it.
I think I know exactly what you're going with now.
Steve Sarkisian
Yeah.
for the Texas Longhorns. There's good times coming. They're not back. Okay, I've foolishly tweeted that they're back too many times this year, but Texas will be back.
They will be.
They will be back, and it might start with a certain recruit, a certain nephew, Arch Manning. Who knows? Who knows? Apparently, Arch Manning is a big Texas Longhorn guy.
And I don't know if you saw, but Ole Miss they got Manning on, and I think it's for Eli being an Ole Miss alum. But Arch Manning's going to be there while his name is on the field. That's
cool.
Big recruiting
That's cool.
move for them.
Like you said, if Tennessee or Ole Miss drops the ball on that one, they truly dropped the ball on that one.
Another coach that was on the hot seat and kind of secured his spot was Jim Harbaugh with Michigan and the success. But
Whoa, pause. You told me that even if they went undefeated, but they lost to Ohio State, that he's gone.
And that's what I was about to ask you. And what do you think about that? If they go undefeated but have one loss to Ohio State, is he still gone? Because you got to beat Ohio State to be a Michigan coach.
Dalton, I'm getting a text message here. We've actually got a caller. We've been called in a question.
Uh-oh.
We're giving Q&A, and so let's see.
Oh goodness.
It's Torrey Humphries. Okay, Torrey Humphries, my dad, football guru. I would say he has a PhD in football history. Let's see what question he's got. Hello, this is Walk On Radio Live. we hear that you have a question.
Oh, I have a question?
That's what we heard.
Okay, dude. Hey, what about Mac Brown? Where's Mac Brown sitting?
Wow,
That's
Mac
a great
Brown.
question. Mac Brown, Texas Longhorn legend. There.
We love Mac Brown, but it's worth talking about.
We do love
Do you
Mac
think
Brown.
hot seat, or do you think he might go somewhere else?
No, he's not going to go anywhere else, dude. The guy's got to be almost 100. I mean, the dude's pretty old. He had a good thing going at North Carolina with Sam Howell. This year it's obviously been disappointing, and so if I found out that after the season they were going a different direction, I certainly would not be surprised.
Well, that was a great call by Torrey Humphries,
That was a great call.
Football expert. Good question.
Any more questions? Cody Crest. Ooh,
Man.
number one projected overall.
It's been
pick.
kind of in and out.
It's not Spencer Rattler, I'll tell you that.
Well, I might butcher his name. Thibodeau from Oregon.
Kayvon Thibodeau, I think, is his name.
He was, but he got hurt.
He did get hurt.
I don't know if that's going to affect anything.
I don't think it was a bad injury.
It depends on who gets the first pick.
Part of the problem with that question is, bingo, is it a team that needs a quarterback? Is it, Malik Willis? Is it Matt Corral? Is it
Derek King?
No, it's not Derek King. I think the top two
King?
quarterbacks are Malik Willis from Liberty and Matt Corral from Ole Miss.
Who would have thought that?
And Sam Howell, he's somewhere in there. I mean, he's an NFL type quarterback.
Yeah, but good question.
Yeah, great question.
It really depends.
Great question.
Thibodeau, I think he's the number one. He's the number one as of now, but it really depends.
I tell you this: if my Detroit Lions prediction is correct, I guarantee they draft a quarterback.
Yeah,
because it's not Jared. It's not Jared.
You don't
Goff.
think Jared Goff?
No,
you don't
it's
think
not
he's the
Jared.
guy?
I know it's not Jared.
Wow.
Goff. I know it's not Jared.
Wow. I don't know.
Any questions? Any more questions? Any more? Is Cordero Patterson the most dynamic? I'll tell you what, he's the most surprising player in the league right now. I thought that guy was long gone. Didn't even know he was still in the NFL. I thought after he got done being a return specialist for Minnesota, and who did he play for after that? Yeah, and the Bears.
I mean, there's a guy, it's another name, kind of dynamic, the Swiss Army knife, Taysom Hill.
Yeah,
New Orleans
Taysom Hill.
Saints, maybe he can do a lot of things.
I think versatile is a great way to describe a Cordell Patterson. Is very versatile because he publicly said, I don't want to be classified as a receiver or a running back. I just want to be a football player. And he's doing pretty well. If you have him in fantasy, That is quite the surprise.
And
for
whoever
sure.
had him on fantasy that one week where he went off.
Played against me.
Yeah. What a
Yeah, I know.
great time.
I know.
Good question, Cordell Patterson.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
I see Reese raising his hand.
Ooh. Is it
too
too early to call Zach Wilson a bust? I think so. We're still, you got to get used to the program. You got to get used to the NFL. It's a grown man's league. And he's playing for the Jets. We saw Sam Darnold and what Darnold Mania is doing now in the Panthers. I think maybe he needs to go somewhere else or the Jets need to build around him, but I think it's a little early to call him a bust.
Well, you took the words out of my mouth. I think it's definitely too early to call him a bust because as soon as Sam Darnold left the Jets and went to another franchise, he started playing well. So let's cut the man some slack. He plays for the Jets. They were the number 2 pick for a reason.
Yeah.
I still don't know why he was the second pick overall. He wasn't the second best quarterback in my opinion, but definitely too early to call him a bust.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Any other questions? I think we're good.
All right.
We're good.
One more.
Question? When's the next live? Well, I guess the next time that Arnaud has this, let's give a round of applause for Arnaud. This is awesome. Floyd, we really appreciate you, man. This has been a blast.
Well, I guess to finish it off, we do our pick'em, and it's going to be really fun with everyone because we can kind of get some choices. But Hump, I think we have a special guest pick'em.
I hear that we have a special guest pick'em, and you'll know why at the end why he's our special guest picker of the night. But Cody Crest, why don't you come on up? Everybody give a round of applause to Cody Crest. Cody Crest, there we go.
We talk about him a lot on Walk On Radio. What a special player.
Oh, yeah. We're big fans of Cody Crest. And Cody and I, we've got NIL deals with, Pass the Gravy. Cody, let's give the ladle. There we go. That's for you, Alex, if you're watching. So, Cody, are you nervous? Are you nervous about the picks? Because the picks have been a smash hit on Twitter this year. We've had just an overwhelming amount of ballots casted per week. We've got the yearly totals, and it's really been a lot of fun.
Well, first off, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. And I want to ask a question real quick. Am I the first ever walk-on radio guest?
Dude.
You're not the first walk-on radio guest, but I do think that he's the first walk-on radio guest picker.
I think not only Isaac Schley's not the first one, but he's the most. He's been on the show multiple times.
We've had Isaac Schley, Torrey Humphries,
Josh Criswell, FCS Fan Nation,
Tim Flanders.
The first time doing pick'em.
So
I
you can
go in
definitely
the history books.
You can definitely put that notch on your belt.
Well, let's start with the first one. The first one's an FCS matchup. It's Rhode Island at Villanova. Villanova surprising a lot of people, and Rhode Island had a big upset, but a big loss in next week. So Hump, or you want to have? Let's have Cody start it off.
We'll go Cody, and then me,
okay.
And then you.
So Rhode Island, Villanova. Who do you have?
I think you got to go with Villanova after their big win. I played Rhode Island back in my Harvard days, and they're a good team. They have some good talent, but it was a big win that Villanova just had, so I'm going to go with them.
Hump?
Yeah, I agree with Cody. Last week we talked about Rhode Island perhaps is wishy-washy. They were undefeated, big loss to Towson. But Villanova, they're fighting for a shot at that automatic qualifying bid to the playoffs. JMU, they're in the mix, obviously, but Villanova's ranked higher right now, so I'm going to roll with Villanova.
Yeah, I'm going Villanova as well. Rhode Island, I didn't pick them last time. They got the upset, but then they got the big loss, and it's kind of disappointing. So I'm going Villanova. They're hot. I didn't know who they were until people started talking about them. I mean, I know who Villanova was, but I didn't know that they were doing what they were, and they look good. So I'm going to go with Villanova here, and I think it's going to be pretty bad. Next up, we have Oregon at UCLA, the college game day, and the stakes aren't very there, but Oregon is still
boo college game day.
Oregon is still ranked, and UCLA, I was high on them in the preseason. Maybe they can get an upset. So, Cody, you got the Ducks, you got the Bruins. Who are you taking?
I'm going with the Ducks. I'm going to roll with the Ducks. I'd say they earned my respect with the win over Ohio State.
Yeah, I agree with you, Cody. Oregon, I'm disappointed they lost. I actually had Oregon making it to the college football playoff, which I thought was awesome after they beat Ohio State. But C.J. Verdell, we talked about him, a guy that was showing that he was one of the best running backs in the country. He goes down. I think that really hurt the Ducks offense. But I'm going to rock with my Ducks.
I'm also going with you. I'm going with the Ducks, man. I was so excited for you. You would have had Cincinnati and Oregon in the Final Four. That would have been really crazy.
Are you saying that Cincinnati's going to do it?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I'll stick
right.
with them
I'm
for
just making
now.
sure.
But Oregon looks really good. UCLA, I was high on them, but they've disappointed me, so I'm not going to vote for them. I'm going to stick with the Ducks here. Next up, we have Oklahoma State at Iowa State. Iowa State, a team that was really thought out in the beginning of the year, preseason. They're a team that possibly could win the Big 12. And then you have Oklahoma State, a team that was in the running, and people said you never know. But now they're undefeated, and they look really good. They got the big win against Texas. So Oklahoma State, the Cowboys. Iowa State, the Cyclones. Cody, who you taking?
This is a tough one for me. It's pretty conflicting, but I think I have to go with Oklahoma State. I think I'm gonna roll with them.
Okay, so he's got the Pokes on the road, staying undefeated. Now, Cody, I know this. I know that Iowa State loves messing up people's seasons. They've been doing it. They've been doing it for decades.
Don't do it.
They love messing up people's seasons. But the difference now is that Iowa State actually has a team that can win football games, and they've been disappointing thus far. But you've got Breece Hall, and I'm sure I'm butchering that name. Brock Purdy, good players. And so for that, I'm taking the Cyclones. I'm taking the Cyclones at home. I like the upset here. Oklahoma State, they're not going undefeated. Come on. Oklahoma State's not going undefeated. Iowa State with the win.
I don't think they go undefeated, but I don't think they lose to Iowa State. I'm going with the Cowboys. If they're going to lose, I think they lose to the Sooners in Oklahoma, the Battle of Bedlam. But
that'll be fun.
Iowa State, really, I had a lot of high hopes for them. Disappointed me. Oklahoma State, I haven't picked against them yet. I'm going to stick with that trend. Cowboys are going to get the win. Next up, we have a matchup that maybe in the preseason, nobody would have picked this game.
This would have never been on Pick'em.
But we have Clemson at Pittsburgh. Now, Clemson, not the same team of who they are. Pittsburgh, not bad. They haven't done too bad. So, Cody, is the Tigers going to come back? Are they going to be fine? Or is it another – I don't even know if it's an upset, but is it an upset alert?
This is another tough one. I really wanted to go with Pittsburgh. I did, but I got to stick with Clemson. They do have a really good defense. They're going to be tough to score on. I think they're going to hold it down.
Yeah, Dalton. I think that here you might press that. No, we're good. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, I'm with Cody. I think Clemson. They've been the most disappointing team in college football. I've given up on DJ Uiagalelei, but I think because I picked them to win the national championship, I'm embarrassed now to say that, but. I think because I had them in the preseason, I've got to rock with the Tigers here. Pittsburgh, obviously a big shot to beat Clemson. That would be big for recruiting, big for their program going forward. But give me the Clemson Tigers.
I'm kind of surprised looking at the voting. We have 42 responses. More people have picked Pittsburgh than Clemson. Look, they've been a good team, but I'm not going to vote against the Tigers just yet. I think the Clemson Tigers get the win here. DJ Uiagalelei, they have to bounce back somehow, and they got to start slow. So I think they're going to get the win here. But if Clemson loses, they're done. It's over with, and it's going to be an interesting couple years. Maybe Dabo Swinney's going to be on the hot seat. We'll have to see with that one. Next up, we have Wake Forest at Army. The Demon Deacons, surprising everybody, having a run of their life. My boys, Wake Forest, against Army, a team that will run it down your throat constantly. They are a power team. Of course, the military. You got to support the military. So, Cody, Wake Forest, Army, who you taking?
I'm going with Wake Forest all the way. My brother Isaiah Wingfield, former cornerback at Harvard, is playing there at Wake Forest, so I'm rooting for him. I know he'll get the job done.
Yeah, this one's tough because I like watching Army. Army's got great uniforms. We always talk about uniforms.
Yep.
West Point's awesome. But Dalton, I said earlier in the show, if this is the year that Wake Forest is going to win the ACC, this is the year because I don't see them having another shot. And so for that, give me Wake Forest.
Yeah, man, a lot of same picks here. I'm going Wake Forest as well. I've been high on them. I like their quarterback. He was also on QB1, which is pretty interesting, and I was a big fan of him then. I am now. And I hate voting against Army because they run a fullback and they like doing it all day long. They like running the ball and going down there. But go with Wake Forest. I think they're hot. They're going to stay hot in this game.
Demon Deacons, that's an FCS name.
That is definitely an FCS
name.
Next up, we have San Diego State versus Air Force, another military game. San Diego State's been they've been kind of hot, and then the Air Force, you always got to vote for military. You got to support the boys. So, Cody, San Diego State, the Aztecs versus Air Force. Who you picking?
I would like to go with Air Force because I do support the academies, but I think San Diego State's going to get it done.
San Diego State, and surprisingly enough, they are undefeated. They're 6-0. They're going into Air Force. Air Force not quite ranked. I think they've got one loss on the season. But Dalton, if I picked against Army and I pick against Air Force, do I not support the troops?
I don't think
mean,
so.
I don't know, but for that I'm picking Air Force. I can't not pick Army and then not pick Air Force. So give me the Falcons, baby.
Well, I'm going with a hot hand here. I'm going with the San Diego State. They're ranked. They're 22, and they're on a streak. And I guess I don't support the military. I don't support America, but I got to go with the hot hand here. I'm going with San Diego State. Next up, we have Nevada at Fresno State, another matchup that you wouldn't really know about, but both teams are doing really well right now. We have Nevada. We have Fresno State. Cody, this is going to be a close one, but who are you taking?
I'm rolling with Nevada. They got a baller at quarterback. I think they'll get it done.
Yeah, and I'm picking Fresno State for the same reason. Jake Haener, the quarterback that put up crazy numbers to beat UCLA earlier in the season. I'm picking Fresno State.
Me too. I'm going Fresno State. He's been doing a lot of crazy things from the beginning. Nobody really knew who he was. He's a Washington transfer, if I'm right. And he's just done a lot of cool things. So Fresno State's going to get the win here.
The fighting Derek Carr and fighting Devontae Adams. Fresno State.
Devontae Adams, my boy.
Yeah,
so,
Fresno State.
I got to go with Fresno State here. Moving on to the NFL, the first pick'em is Kansas City at Tennessee. Kansas City, normally this would kind of be a blowout, you would think, but Patrick Mahomes fallen off a little bit. And then you have Tennessee, who maybe be struggling everywhere else, but Derrick Henry is still that guy, and their defense is picking it up. So, Cody, you have Kansas City, you have Tennessee. Which one are you going with?
You know, I think this is going to be a big bounce-back game for Pat Mahomes. I think he's going to have a huge game, but Derrick Henry's unstoppable right now. Like you said, I'm going with Tennessee.
Oh, I like that. And our front row guest right here is not happy with that. You know, the Tennessee Derrick Henrys, they have a big win. They just got a big win against the Buffalo Bills. Derrick Henry is just – I mean, he's putting up MVP numbers. He's probably going to win Offensive Player of the Year. But Dalton, I said never bet against Patrick Mahomes. Okay, they're going to get back into this. It starts this week. The 9:03, Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. They're going to get the win this week over Tennessee.
Well,
round of applause for that
I hear a
pick.
clap,
I like
but
it.
he's going to be mad at this because I'm going Tennessee as well. I don't think Kansas City's defense can stop Derrick Henry, and I think Tennessee will be able to hold Kansas City to enough points where they're going to be able to slip out with the win. I think Derrick Henry's going to go off and do his thing. Kansas City's defense is just not really existent. They're not really there. So give me Tennessee, and you talked about Travis Kelce, and we didn't really mention this.
I forgot about that.
This weekend is National Tight End Day. On Sunday, you know,
I got our tight end crowd right
Jarvis
here.
Brooks, Isaac Schleig, Kendall, Ross. We got our boys at tight ends here. So happy National Tight End Week. Of course, you got to celebrate it. So normally I should pick Kansas City, but I'm going with Anthony Fursker and the Tennessee Titans. Who would have thought that
I
one?
like that. I like that.
The next up, we have Indianapolis at San Francisco. Kind of both two disappointing teams, but this could be a really good game. Indianapolis, the run game, Jonathan Taylor, and San Francisco kind of do a lot of wonky things. They like motioning and getting around the ball, and can't forget the Bosa brother on San Francisco. So, Cody, Indianapolis, San Francisco 49ers, who you taking?
You know, I think I submitted 49ers, but I've changed my mind. I'm going with the Colts.
Okay.
Their run game has been unstoppable right now, and I'm a big JT fan on Wisconsin.
Love him.
So I'm excited to see him keep it rolling.
Cody, I agree with you fully. I think this is going to be a great Sunday night matchup. I'm picking the Colts simply because Jonathan Taylor, flat out. You know, I would like to see Trey Lance play in this one because if he does, you've got North Dakota State versus North Dakota State at quarterback. That's pretty cool.
Hump, who would I be if I was a tight end voting against George Kittle on National Tight End Day?
I think you'd be a phony.
That's a crime. That's a crime in my position. That's a crime. So I'm going with the Niners. I think George Kittle's going to score maybe 3 touchdowns, maybe 4.
Okay.
Fantasy nightmare.
Okay.
It's National Tight End Day. He has to. I think San Francisco's offense is going to, Indianapolis defense is well known, but I think they're going to do their thing. They're going to survive, and they're going to get the win on National Tight End Day. George Kittle, you're my guy. And then finally, we have the game of the week. The reason that Cody Kress is our guest picker, I called it the Battle of the Brains. I thought it was a pretty good one. Harvard and Princeton. Now, normally one of those things where you never would expect, but both teams are red hot right now. Unfortunately, doesn't mean they're going to go to playoffs because Ivy League does not do that, but still a big game. Princeton is 22. Harvard, they're ranked as well. Hump. This is a big one. Cody, this is a big one for you.
We picked the right guest, obviously.
Is this a big rivalry, back at Harvard? I know you're a Harvard transfer. Was this one of those games where you got really excited for, kind of like the Piney Woods game?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say it's second to Harvard, Yale. It's legit, and it's normally kind of the start of who may be competing for the Ivy League title. You know, our schedules start off pretty mellow, and then it's a clash of Harvard and Princeton, and that's normally a big indicator of who's gonna win it all.
So I kind of assume what you're gonna answer, but Harvard, Princeton, Cody, who you taking?
Guys, it's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Oh, no.
Let me hold the mic
Oh,
for you.
no.
Let me hold the mic. Yeah, there we go.
Oh.
There we go. We like it. Make sure the camera sees it.
Yeah.
There we go. We've got the Harvard shirt. All right.
So,
all right.
So here's the thing: we've got Champ and AB in the backfield, probably one of the top running back tandems in the country. They're going to run all over Princeton. That's what's going to happen. And I'm going to be the first to say it right now. Kim Wimberly is going to emerge as one of the top receivers in the Ivy League. He's been balling thus far, but he's going to explode.
That's some Ivy League knowledge right there.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
like
good.
It. I like it.
Cody, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think Harvard gets to win here, not only because you're here and I want to support you, but Harvard looks red hot. Now Princeton looks really good too, and you can't go against Princeton. But you're here. You're a first guest speaker. I'm not gonna vote against you. I'm going with Harvard as well in the Battle of the Brains. This is gonna be a fun matchup. And Humph, who are you taking here?
Dalton, Harvard versus Princeton. Okay, the first meeting was in 1877.
Wow.
Okay, open up your history books.
Wow.
1877. Harvard won that game, and this is not a typo. Harvard won that game 1-0.
Yeah.
This is not a baseball score. This is the first football meeting, 1-0. Okay. Princeton, however, leads the series 57, 48, and 7 ties. Okay, they won 57 times, lost 48, 7 ties. Princeton's won 3 straight, Dalton. They're both 5-0. Okay. Whoever wins this, in my opinion, is going to win the Ivy League. Okay. Princeton's at home. Princeton's hot.
Uh-oh. Humph. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
There we go.
Oh.
We're going Princeton. I got the headgear.
No.
Do the Lee Corso wave. Okay, we've got the headgear.
What a
That's Dalton. Princeton's got this because I went to Walmart to get this headpiece.
Waste of money.
Waste of money.
Waste of money for sure.
Probably. Either way, probably.
Well, man, Hump, our first ever live episode. We appreciate everyone that came out, all of our teammates and friends. Any last words before we end this?
This was awesome, Dalton. I hope we get to do this again. Thank you, Arnaud. Thank you guys for coming out. It was a really fun experience, honestly.
Well, of course, for everyone watching at home and everyone in here, follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. I know all y'all do. Y'all support us. Buy our hats. Walk On Radio is brought to you by the Believe Podcast Network, the #1 podcast for professionals. So, Hump, we will see y'all next time.